Woohoo! We're back. Another
My
Wednesday.
my
Woohoo!
phone rang in the middle of that. Well, it was Stacy trying to do a video call with me, and then my sound went so I can barely hear. I might have to go out and come back in.
Okay, if you want to do that, I'll just start telling what
That's
we're
so
going to do.
annoying.
I know.
I'll
I'll
be
see you.
right back.
Okay. All right, guys. So this week, Holly will be right back. We're going to be talking about spirits, or some people call them ghosts, or some call them energy. And we're going to kind of go back and forth and see what everybody kinds of thinks about it. We are, let me get her, add her back. There you go. Okay. So can you hear?
Yeah, now I
Okay.
can. Everybody wants to message you and contact you right as they know you're going live.
Well, you're using your phone. I just put my phone and use the computer. But while you're doing this, I got birds screaming at me, so I apologize for that. But we've got okay. So Holly and I have a bunch of stories that we're going to share. I've got some clips we're going to share, and Mel is going to come in a little bit, and we're going to show her clip and let her explain it. And then I have some clips for y'all, and then there's some pictures that I just love this. This is cool. Terry Brooks sent in, and he basically is what he calls himself a spirit keeper, and he works with protective spirits like angels and dragons and that kind of energy, right? And he sent me some really cool pics. I don't know if he'll show up today, but I've got the background for him to show some really cool things, and we can talk about fire and how it can bring through spirits when we call for them. And what else do you think?
Anything and everything can come through that spirit wall.
Yeah.
Anything and everything. You never know. That's why you don't play with things like a Ouija boards. You don't play. Even pendulums, you have to be very careful with what you're doing.
Well, and even doing what we do separately from that, we still have things that pop up, which was very much so happened to me last week. So that was a new and interesting twist. So I know Holly's had experiences just as well, and it can get really crazy. One of the things I'm going to ask you is, what is your belief system based on? Like, you see spirit, and I don't mean all spirits are bad, because they're not. But do you see it? How do you process it? That kind of a thing.
Well, I mean, I've been seeing spirits since I was itty bitty. I mean, my earliest memories are probably around 4 or 5 years old when I would spend a night with my grandmother. In her bedroom, there was a closet that used to be a fireplace, and it still had the chimney, and it was still open. Like if you stuck your head in there, you'd see the light of day. And she just put a pole across it and a
Right.
curtain across it, and it was her closet. I would tell myself every single night, I'm not going to look at that closet. I'm not going to look at that closet. And I'd fall asleep telling myself, I'm not going to look at that dang closet. Every night in the middle of the night, I'd wake up with my eyes wide open, looking straight at the stupid closet. And these figures would come out, and I could tell the impression was male, female, and they wrapped around the bed like they created a protective circle around us. Because the bed, of course, was against the wall, but they were around the whole bed. And I'd cover up my head until I fell back to sleep because I was not about to peek my head back out because the covers were magical and they were going to protect me. Okay.
Leave your little fairy dust all over.
But
Well,
the thing,
it's interesting though, because you said you were young, right? Really young, and I'm the same way. I remember I have a real keen memory, like when I was 3 or 4, and I saw spirits, and I wasn't scared of them. I thought everybody could see them, and then when I was in 4 or 5, I was actually hearing the animals talk to me, and that's kind of why I do work with them so much, even as totems and stuff. And I would hear them, and again, I just think everybody. I didn't know. I
right,
didn't know anybody couldn't see them. So my thing is to people, if you have children, and they say, "Oh, my imaginary friend," they're not always imaginary, because
mhm,
we're not taught as humans till later in life socially that,
right.
ooh, that's a spooky thing. Yo, we don't want to do that.
And my grandsons that live with me, they have seen my grandmother. My grandmother that died, back in like 2003 that they never ever met. That I don't even have any photographs of my grandmother. There's one photograph of her, it's in the attic, and that's all I've got. And no one has talked about that particular grandmother in years and years. So he had no idea who she was. But he said to me one night, "Did you know, Grandma, I have a great 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 grandmother?" I said, "Yeah, I know." And then I said, "Well, what does she look like?" And he described her to a T. He says, "She's here all the time. She plays with us."
Isn't that a riot? I've always, now I don't encourage them, but I don't discourage them. Like my own daughter, Tay, when she was like 3, we were driving over to my mom's because I had to go to work, and then she watched Tay in between my husband getting home and me going to work, right? So she'd watch her for a few hours. We were in the car, and I'm like halfway over there, and she goes, "Mom," like what? She goes, "Grandpa keeps telling me to tell you hello." And I'm like, "What?" And she says, "Grandpa, he's right in the back seat. He's in the back." And she was pointing at him. I could actually not see him. So I was kind of shocked because I can see stuff. And I said, "Really?" She says, "Yep. He just told me, don't worry about it. Tell your mom, don't worry about it. It'll work out. It'll work out." And what happened actually was what was on my mind. And I'm like, holy crow. So she'd see my dad until she got a little bit older, because she'd be at the house where my dad was, right? And she had never met my dad either. Same thing, because he died 7 months before her being born.
Right.
But he was there. He was watching over her. And, since then, Taylor has more of the visions when she's dreaming in her dream state, and they're real because they're people that come, and she knows it's different than dreaming. But she doesn't like what happened this past week with me. She'd like, no, thank you.
What happened? What possibly could have happened? Come on, you have to tell us.
Maybe by the end I'll tell you a little bit about it so they can hear it.
I already know the story.
Yeah, and I'm still creeped out a little bit, even though, yeah, just make sure everybody, when you get into a field or when you start seeing stuff, you have that person that you could always go to, and I went to Windwalker, and Windwalker, you've met her. We've had her on the show. We were doing radio, and thank God for her. And we talked till 2:30 in the morning, and she was a little freaked out too. So I'll tell about that a little bit later. But yeah, so I look at things right now, and I think everybody's interest has kind of elevated a little bit because of all the shows that are on TV and stuff now. Everybody's doing it, right?
Everybody in my office, when I started this job, I kept it a secret. I don't tell everybody. And lo and behold, they came to me and they started talking to me about it. And then once they knew I could see things, all the questions.
Well, and it's good. And like I said, even us, we need people to go to, because sometimes it's a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah, it's a real lot. Now, it's been a number of years now.
You never get used to it.
Well, when you pick that thing up on your security camera, tell them about that. That was really like, wow.
There was nobody home, no one home at all. And I had a security camera in my attic, and it was something just went right past and right in front of the camera. Don't know what it was, because I keep my house swept clean of spirit. That's my little haven. Don't come bother me here.
Yeah, for real, right? Open the window a little bit.
Yeah. It was probably a passerby.
Well, it was still creepy.
It was creepy. I was creeped out.
This form, and it wasn't just a shadow, it was a shadow form that kind of walked across, and it was like, that's just nuts. So we've all had that. And then you introduce all these television programs, right? And some of them, I've spoken to members, and I work with Sean and Bex over doing Ghost Dimension, so I know what they do is with integrity. But then my thing is the tech. Okay, now you have 2 schools of thought. One, and I'll say his name because I love him dearly, Paul Rook and Carrie Greenaway over in the UK. They have done investigations. They've talked about it on their radio show and their podcast and all that kind of stuff. And he is a scientific man. Okay. So his thing is, it's not that he doesn't believe in spirit, but some of the tech that's used, even on the shows, they don't believe work with spirit. It's a very scientific way of thinking, right? So then you have the other,
it's all energy, though.
Then and then you have the other side, right? And the other side is, hey, we believe it. We see it, we know it exists, and that's our opinion. So you've got these two schools of thought that are out there right now. Nigel Mortimer, I should actually grab one of these. I've got it down here. He actually makes spirit boxes. Okay. He's over in the UK, and they're almost like a portal, more of a portal than just a spirit box. And I've got a couple of them. Amazing stuff comes through. And I'll still have people that are like thinking scientifically, oh, that can't happen. Okay. Well, when this thing is racing frequency, like 3,000 times a second, going back and forth, and yet it pulls out a clear word. Tell me how that happens.
You know what it puts me in mind of? This is funny. You've seen the videos where the dogs have the little buttons with words, and it's my vision is like seeing spirit inside the box pushing the button for the word they want to say, because it's all energy, every bit of it. People that say, if you don't believe it, it won't hurt you. Yeah, it will. It's still energy, and they can manifest enough energy, pull enough energy out of the air to move things, to pick up things, to touch people, to scratch people or push them, and all sorts of things. So, it can.
Yeah,
if they have that intent.
Yeah, it can get pretty crazy. Mel, if you're listening, and I know you're here, and hi Kay, I should probably say hi to some of these people, eh? Robin's here because I told her I'm going to talk about the boys in a little bit. Hi Raylan, how are you? Chloe, hi. Jacqueline Marie, hello. Crystal, hello. Ruthie's here.
She said she used to be jealous of us, but not anymore. Come on, Ruthie. We'll send some spirits over to come say goodnight to you. Read your little bedtime story, Ruthie Pooh.
Maybe I should send them what I had show up last week to her. Oh, I'd love to see her do that. Well, there are many people. I mean, there's a lot of people out on TV right now or in the entertainment field that do this. And one of the ones that I 100% trust what he does, because he does it with integrity. And I actually met him through the pandemic, and they used to host like just a break up, like on a Saturday afternoon or evening, and everybody just come in and chat with these guys. And this is Dalen Spratt from the Ghost Brothers. And one of the cool things that I love about him right now that he started this actually probably the beginning of the year, he goes to cemeteries during the day and he takes a spirit box and he wants to communicate. And they do communicate. I mean, there's words and sentences that come out and things that would just blow your mind. And it's called, what is it? The Shifters. That's what everybody's called that goes to the show and watches it, right? He went to one of the ones that really blew my mind was Bonnie and Clyde, and they were both in separate cemeteries, but they had responses. And it was specifically names of the people that were there where he was sitting in the gravesite. He went to Marilyn Monroe's, the Hollywood graveyard that they have out there in California. And Marilyn Monroe, where she is in a wall, she's on a wall, a memorial wall. That's where she's been put in place. And then right next to her is Bugsy Siegel, right? Well, everybody knows he was a mob guy, right? And I thought, wow, this will be interesting. And he just kind of sits down and makes sure not a lot of people around him, so because he's not trying to be disrespectful. And he's really like talking, and they answer back. And the thing, Bugsy thought it was really cool that Marilyn was kind of planted next to him, so they had like banter going back and forth with him. He also went down south oh, this was a few episodes ago, and this is just on YouTube. It's not on regular TV. So if you guys look him up, Dalen Spratt, he went down south where they had a Civil War cemetery, and in that cemetery they had a slave area, and he went into that, and the things that he got out of the spirit box, and he's just sitting there, with a computer, and it was amazing. And there was, I mean, like, he wouldn't have planted that. There's names like from the people around the slave. The slaves were planted and no headstones. They're just
Right.
there.
Right.
And so he was talking about all that, and it was just fascinating to see. So some people I do respect because they do things in such a way of integrity that it's awesome to watch. But yeah, it's just kind of crazy. Have you ever done that? Gone to a cemetery?
Well, yeah, I've been to plenty
No.
of cemeteries, but I don't go there to communicate. Um, that's too much. There's too many, and in the spirit world, spirit is it's I imagine it like a web. They are anywhere they want to be, everywhere all at once at the same time. It's not like, oh, while my grandmother is visiting my house, she can't also be at my cousin's house or my mother's house or somebody else's house, because it's all energy. So you, as a spirit, you can spread your energy and be in multiple places at once. And if you call on to that energy, it can come to you from anywhere if that spirit wants to communicate with you. But by going to where their actually body is, some spirits I feel will hang out there a little bit more because they have people that come and they want to connect with them or they want to see them without having to spread their energy out everywhere.
Sean and Bex, and I agree 100% with what you're saying. Sean and Bex actually live in the gatehouse that they bought of a cemetery that was converted into a home. So their backyard is literally a cemetery.
Nope.
So they went back there, and we actually did a session. We were all on in the afternoon, and they went, and we could see them because they had their phones with them and stuff. And Sean went over and sat on a bench in an area where there was children, right? Buried as children. And I could actually hear them, and they were going right up to him because he's a dad. He's got 3 beautiful daughters, and they were like, oh my gosh, a dad, and they were really interacting with him and they touch him, and he could feel like coldness or a tap. And I said, that's the kids. They're really enjoying it. It's from years and years ago, like the 1800s, the early 1900s. And it was so fascinating to me that they needed someone to visit them. And I think that was just so important to get across to people. Maybe we are on the other side. I don't know for sure how it works. I tried to get there, but I got shoved back. But our energy is different, but it doesn't mean that our personalities, I think, are the same a lot of times. Yeah or no?
Yeah, I think so. And the thing is, the way to communicate with spirit, for me anyway, is you don't communicate with your physical voice, your physical eyes. It's all with your energy. With my energy, I'm sending it to them and communicating with them, and they're sending their energy back and communicating with me. Now, in our human form, we end up using our actual physical voice and our physical eyes looking for the proof.
Right.
But the proof is really in that energetic change because it is all energy. We are energy. Everything in the universe is energy. And in spirit form, that energy is everywhere. And it can easily communicate if you are open to connect with that energy.
And I want to add to that, not all people are good when they're on this side, and when they go and they pass to the spirit lands or whatever they are, whatever you want to call it, sometimes they stay in that mode because they don't want to learn. They don't want to be different. So this is my thing. If they were really assholes in life, they're going to be assholes in spirit. So you do have to watch out for that kind of stuff and protect yourself from that. But I love when stories of when I'm working with some people and things their grandparents will come through or a sibling will come through, and it just that you can't make it up because they're giving it to you so that I don't understand it, but the people that are there to hear it understand. And I just think
Right.
that's very beautiful, beautiful
It
thing.
is. You have to remember that just like in this physical life, in the spirit world, there is also still freedom of choice.
Right.
And spirits are not perfect entities. They have to, that's why we have reincarnated lives again and again and again, because we're learning and we're growing. So those spirits, I think, that are ugly and mean and horrible spirits, I feel like they're just, maybe they're newborns, or maybe they're just like, maybe they just love that. They
Yeah.
love to torment people. That's their thing. That's what they love the most, and so that's what they continue to do.
Well, you live down in Tennessee, and I've gone through some of the Civil War areas where the battles were down there,
Right.
and I don't like going there or even going driving through it because
No,
that is like overload, like
it's a thick.
overload.
Yeah, the feeling when you go into those areas, it is this like heavy and thick, and you just feel. Can you imagine being in that time, and you have been away from your family for sometimes well over a year, and you're just out in the middle of nowhere with a whole bunch of people that you once didn't even know, and you're fighting for your life, and I'm sure the lines get blurred of you don't even know what you're fighting for anymore at some point. And people that you become friends with are getting blown apart or dying from diseases and stuff like that, and the energy is super heavy. I don't
It's
like it
thick.
either.
It's like thick. It's really thick. Now,
Yeah.
I know there's other places, even around the world or in the US, that have had, and it seems to me that a lot of that people say, well, oh, we're going to go in and we're going to make them see the light. No, no, you're not. You can go in there, and if they want to go, they would go. But most of the time, like in prisons, right? I kind of I laugh, but it's sad because what happens is people think that's okay to do, and it's not. Where they go into a prison and they're like, God, cut me up, set me on fire. And I'm like, what are you, stupid? Like, why would you invite that? And
Right.
then the reactions that they get are negative, or the voices they pick up are the people that are in prison. And I'm saying that's not residual. That's they choose to stay there.
Right.
And people, I guess one of the messages would be if you like watching that kind of stuff on TV, that's great, but don't go out and do something like that because it's inviting things to attach to you. It's inviting nasty spirits, I mean, if they're in prison for multiple murder, like a serial killer, or they got stabbed violently and beat to death and left on the floor and set on fire, right? And that did happen in one of the penitentiaries in the US. And then you go there and you want, no, I don't want to talk to this person.
No,
I don't
no,
want this person anywhere near me. I don't need
no.
them to
But
believe
it's the
it.
same thing if you go visit a cemetery. Just because somebody's buried in a cemetery does not mean that they were a good person
Right,
whatsoever.
right.
That's just where they were buried.
Yes.
And so when you go there, especially if you're a sensitive person, they could attach to you quite easily and follow you home, and then you're stuck with them until whenever they're bored with you.
Yeah. And usually they're not bored for long.
And the thing is, this is the thing that always cracks me up when they go around smudging and all that. That only works to a certain extent. But if you have a spirit or an entity that is determined to be there, they're just like, yeah, yeah, burn your smudge all you want. I'm not going anywhere. The respectful spirits will be like, okay, I get it, and they'll leave you alone. But those that are out to harm you, there's no amount of smudge or sage. I don't care how big your smudge stick is, they're not going to go anywhere. And you can say, go to the light, they're like, yeah, yeah, nah, I like staying on the dark side. Nah, I like hanging out with you. They're not going, they're not
Yeah.
going
Well,
anywhere.
look at when they go into mental institutions. We have Eloise here in Michigan, and it was a sanitarium. long time ago, you know, men could drive up when it first started and drop their wife off and just say, yeah, she's crazy. Because
Yeah.
it was that kind of a society, and they were fine. There was nothing wrong with them, and they put them into this place. Then you have all the mentally handicapped people in there, or the real people that really had mental issues in there. Some of them die, and that was the only home they know, so they're there. And I always laugh because they go in and they say, oh, we're going to release and we're going to open. Yeah, you can release and open, but you know, everybody that comes in there is saying, oh, we're going to release and open. It's not going to go unless they want to go.
Right.
And they don't have to have us to do that. And I just think people kind of get carried away a little bit sometimes with that. I don't know. It's just a little crazy. Okay, I don't know where Mel is. Mel, I'm going to ask you one more time here. And I'm also going to, yeah, Daniel and Joseph, that somebody just said how much they visit their family, how much they love their mom. Daniel and Joseph were twins, and they passed a year apart. One was, I believe, was 31, and Dan, I think, was 32. He died the year after. But the messages that they bring through all over, they have a heart, and things will pop up with their mom, and there's be hearts where you would be like, oh no, or they'll come across a license plate, right? They're driving in a car and they see Daniel and Joseph on a single plate, right? And it's like all these little cool messages and things that they bring to other family members. And I'm going to play this. And Robin, don't cry. I love you. I'm going to play this, and I'm going to put black behind us so that people can see it better. And I think we're going to do this. Now, hopefully this works. And I want you guys to really look at, it's very dark, but you look at the lighter part, and it happens within 10 seconds of it starting, and you will see somebody walking across the back. Okay, so let's see if we can get this to work.
Hi, Joe. Are you here with Mommy? Huh? Joseph. Hi, Danny. Hi, Joe. Hi, my baby.
So let me do it one more time, and make sure you watch the wall where it's light.
Hi, Joe. Are you here with Mommy? Huh? Joseph. Hi, Danny. Hi, Joe. Hi, my baby.
So their parents are not tech people. They didn't even see it till they looked at it later. And for me, it was no doubt in my mind. And when you play it, you can see it on YouTube too. You just look up Robin Cesario twins, and it's there, but it's a longer video. But it was the first 10 seconds they were there. And this is the boys. This was the boys. And if you look at them as this figure walks across, it's even their build and their the way they walk, and the fact that they turned around and kind of looked where Robin and Vince were.
If you send me the video, I could probably enhance it to lighten it up a bit, and you could still see that shadow.
Okay. You want to do it now?
Yeah, if you want.
Okay, yeah. Well, you talk, and I'm going to put Mel on too.
Oh, what shall I talk about? Oh boy.
I don't know.
think probably. I mean, I have so many stories. Hi.
This is Mel. So you talk to Mel just a few minutes, and I'll go send this to you. Okay. You want an email or message?
Yeah, send it to my email.
Okay. Let me have your email.
Jenkins.hollylynn@gmail.
Oh God. Jenkins.holly.@gmail, right?
The Holly Lynn. Jenkins.hollylynn@gmail.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I think one of the most interesting houses I ever lived in was one that was built in 1900s when I lived in Illinois. That, by the way, was just like a couple of blocks away from old Civil War cemetery. And the house next door being, back then, it was the town's funeral parlor. So
that's creepy.
That was a lovely house that had spirits everywhere. So, Mel, what are your takes on the spirit world?
I know they're around us. I feel them everywhere I go. I feel my gran sometimes at my own home. And my granddad as well.
Did I lose you guys?
No, I'm still here. She was breaking up a little bit on my end. I think it's the birds were chirping over.
Okay, I just sent it. Hopefully it'll go. Well, Mel, I'm sorry that the birds are loud again today, but you know how they get when we're on. So, okay, I'm gonna play this. Okay, and this is Mel. You're gonna tell us after we watch it. Tell us what happened while you were there. Is that okay?
Yep.
All right, here we go.
Just ask them. Right, just okay. Now, what you've got to realise as well is certain crystals, yeah, when they're together, they block out the other ones from working. So you need to know what
I don't know what to
crystals
ask,
work
what to
together,
say.
because some crystals can actually cancel out Do you like the other person crystals beside me? and stop them from working.
Whoa!
So that looks like black tourmaline, which is that one.
Is it because I'm small?
Now, I'll tell you a good one that you want.
Now, Mel, was this happening continuously as you were asking questions?
I know.
You like me? To me by Bear. Bear sent me this because
And you know
I have
that
an attachment
because
from
we're
a place
astronomy,
we went to
you want to
about a
affect
month
us.
ago. For me.
It's nice that.
Because she sent me that.
Well,
to
you
get rid of
can't
the
harm me
attachment because I
anyway.
had a very nasty attachment.
Yeah, Crystal as well.
That one went to red.
You can't harm me.
You can't harm me either.
No,
That's
be
church
wrong.
voice, yeah.
You like
Around me, and he's trying.
Could you feel the energy as you were talking with it? You know, could you feel different? What did it feel like for you?
I felt a bit negative. I felt a bit like really angry. Started to feel energy around me.
I'm protecting Alice.
Did you figure out who it was or what it could have been?
I'll protect.
A male figure, and he was wanting collecting all the dead bodies and destroy them. He doesn't like female. He hates females. Blonde hair.
She's ours to protect.
He's trying to protect the lover spirit, Alice.
We're gonna say goodbye now.
And Alice lost her child. She's just trying to find him, but this negative spirit didn't like it when Alice was trying to find her own child.
That's really cool. Did it kind of scare you a little bit?
It did, because we went to the other room. We saw 3 dark figures in the other room. Went across the room. I couldn't film it though because I didn't have it infrared camera to film it. But we saw 3 figures. We saw a small little figure, a little boy. Then we saw Alice, and we saw the dark figure right next to Alice.
It's very much
no
so
chance.
interacting with you guys.
You
for
got
sure.
no chance.
And Alice will be protected at all costs.
Yeah, that one there is from
I understand.
And a little boy
Hate
will come.
females. Definitely hate females. He didn't like me really at all because we have blonde hair.
Well, one thing that I know, and this is what we were talking about a little bit ago here, is people that believe in tech and that the energy is using our tech. They're scientific. So a lot of my scientific friends are like, oh, that could be like a radio signal or a TV signal or whatever. But when you're actually there and having it happen in front of you, it really doesn't feel that way. It really doesn't. And I'll show you some more examples here in a little bit.
That was the first time I went to, a second time I went investigation.
And where was this investigation at?
At Killy Underground Street.
Oh, that's kind of like we have them here. This Old City Streets in Detroit. They actually run in underneath. It's crazy. There's a lot of stuff.
I've got goosebumps already there, and Holly, I've got goosebumps already when I was talking about it.
Yeah, because it spooked you a little bit. It did.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing. I really love you. I appreciate it. Okay. Love you.
Thank you.
So yeah, it's some of that stuff is just really crazy. I mean, I'm going to show you some other stuff here. Hang on. Okay.
The thing is, when you're in the moment and you're asking questions and it's lighting up as you ask the questions, that's where you're like, okay, so how is it just random radio wave in sync with my questions? You know.
Okay. So this is one of 2 that I'm going to show you. This was what I called the torch test. So I put a flashlight down and asked it questions, and it responded. This was kind of creepy even for me.
You did that?
On. If you're here with me, shut it up. Thank you. Can you turn it back on for me so I know you're here? Turn it back on for me. Thank you. So yeah, that's a little bit. I mean, it responded to the questions, and it went on longer, but I put the clip down to a smaller one.
Right.
And it's like, I never feel, especially when I'm here at the house, well, 99% of the time anyway, I feel safe.
More like 95 at this point.
Yeah, I never feel negative energy in the house because of what I do, and I'm always cleansing. And
In your recent episode, it wasn't necessarily negative energy. It was more of WTF energy.
mm-hmm.
You know, like, excuse me, who are you and why are you here?
Okay, I'll tell them in a minute. Okay, I'll tell them in a minute already. Oh my God. All right, so I'm going to show you one more. This one was at Christmas time in 2019. I was down at Dave and Taylor's house, and they had gone to go visit his parents, which were on the other side. And I was going to leave the next day because someone was bringing me back up. So I was sitting, and I was actually watching Wonder Woman in the middle of the day. And they have a big, huge square coffee table. It's kind of old chest that they put together in glass on the top. And we had done gifts. So this is actually on Christmas Day. And when they left, I had gotten them a K2 meter, which was what Mel had, right? And I gave it to her as a gift. And Sean and Bex had signed it for him and everything, you know. So it was in the bag. It was off. And we just left it. It was sitting up on the coffee table. And this is what happened. This to this day still drives me crazy. Oh, and I will say there was an electrical snowman that would light up, but it was unplugged from the wall and it lit up. So that was the first thing I saw, and I was like, what was that?
Like, hello.
Yeah, this is what happened. Okay, so if you're here, go off again. I just saw you go off. That's crazy. Go ahead, touch it. You made the snowman go off. I know you did. Okay, so who's here? Hi. That's kind of crazy. Do I know you? Are you the one that turned the snowman on and off? Can you touch that again and say hi? I'm watching Wonder Woman, which I'm going to pause right now, because this is a little intriguing. Can you touch it one more time to tell me thank you? Merry Christmas. Do I know you? Okay. Is it my brother? Is it sin? Is it my mom? Is it somebody else that I know? Can you make that go off again? Okay, what? Oh, thank you. I appreciate you coming and saying hi. That's kind of cool. Well, Merry Christmas to you. You can shut it off now. Step away from it. Thank you. I wish I knew who it was, or I had my portal. Are you here keeping an eye on me because I'm by myself with the fur babies? Thank you. Thank you. Step away. Step away. Let the light go back off. Step away. Oh, you don't want to? So you're still saying hi and Merry Christmas. I don't feel bad at all. I feel very positive. So thank you for stopping in. Can you shut the light off now? Shut the green light off for me. Shut it off. Thank you. Merry Christmas. There you go. I didn't touch it. It was off. It was in a plastic bag. When this was all said and done and I had captured that on, I actually pulled it out of the bag and went to like see if it was on. Nothing. There was nothing electrical around it. It was far enough away from everything. Didn't pick anything up at all. So then after I did that, I actually turned it on and I walked around the room to check for electrical, to see if it would go off. Nothing.
You need to also remember that your pets can come back as well and communicate with you.
Oh, 100%.
It's not always people. Not always people at all.
Yeah, but it was way cool. And even with the torch, when the light, I showed you that one, right? With the torch going off and on.
Yeah.
To me, that's just crazy. Like, how can you, okay, and I do get the tech side of it. Sometimes it could be interfered with things, but when you run that double blind test and around the room or around where you're at, to me, there's no other logical, and it's responding to what you're asking it to do. So that's
right.
Crazy. That's just crazy.
Charlene says she often has someone sit on her bed in the wee hours of the morning.
Ooh.
I've had that. I've also had animals walk across my bed when I didn't have an animal at the time. That always freaked me out. Ooh.
Yeah, I had.
And then, what about the voices? When you hear someone call out your name so distinct and so clear, and no one else is there but you.
Yeah, I've had them wake me up. They go into my bear really loud, and I'm like, "What? And I'm looking around. There's nobody there. Yeah. And usually, it's when that happens for me anyway. When they do that, wake me up. It's because I've got a reading coming up, or I'm going to do a stream reading that day, and it's information they want to make sure that they can get through. It's like, we're here. You got to tell them. You got to tell them. It's like, geez, can't you sleep?
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Okay, so now I'm going to show you. Okay, so this is Terry Brooks, and I'm going to read what he sent with this. He says, I am a spirit keeper, and I have been for over 40 years. I keep mostly conjured protective spirits, but also work with many angelics and predominantly the archangels. The night that's in the pictures that he took, we were having a fire pit and talking about how many spirits I actually have altogether and how would you really know if they were there. So he asked out loud if some of his spirits who protect the house to show themselves. So this is what he sent over. He says many of the different gargoyles and a few dragons kind of appeared into what they were seeing. And I don't know if you've done, I'm sure you have. Haven't you done fires that way? I have. And
yes. It just made me think about that one fire picture I've got. Hold on, and I'm going to pull it up while you're doing that, while you're showing that one.
Okay, so this is Terry Brooks, and that's a powerful thing too, to be able to do that and call upon spirit, good spirit, right? So this is the first one he got us. And you can actually see it. To me, I don't know if you guys can see my mouse. Can you see my mouse on here when I do this? No. Okay.
No.
So on the top, like right where Holly, like where I go, and there's like Holly, like by her glasses line, you can see two eyes and a mouth,
No,
right?
right there.
Yeah, so it looks kind of like a gargoyle, okay, and that's what he has that he calls upon, and he
I
calls.
see it clearly. Yeah.
And now here is the dragon coming out of the flames. You can see the head of it, the neck of it, and the wings behind it. And I'm sure, you know, some people could look at it and say it's kind of interpretive. It's like you're reading things into it. But if you ever do this sort of thing and do it, it's really interesting what'll come out. Okay, now there's this one, and this is actually clearly in the smoke side of it, which is what I'm looking at is closer to Holly. Again, like right where her nose line is, it looks like a gargoyle. I see two eyes and a mouth. Yeah, you see it? Okay. Here's another one he sent. And this one's really, to me, this one's really obvious because it's right there. And this is after he called them, right? He called upon them to show. And this one's really cool because the neck goes up and it turns and it's a dragon. Definitely a dragon. So, yeah, you know, there's all different kinds of ways that we can kind of communicate with spirit. And when you do that type of work, I think fire is always fascinating for me. Fire has
Oh,
always.
yeah. I love the fire gaze. Love it. This one picture that I've got, it's unmistakable what it is. I mean, you don't even have to say what it is. People, you can just see it. And I should be getting close to it. It was God. I didn't realize it was that many years ago.
That's okay. That's okay.
Still
So
slowly.
I gotta go back over here. Let's see what comments are saying today. Oh yeah, you see it? See? Yeah, I see a face. I see it. Me too. Yeah, aren't they great pics? You know, it's just stuff that let's see what is Margaret saying here. I got woken up by somebody shouting my first name, Norma, and no one calls me by my first name, so I was wondering who it was as my son James was sleeping and no one else was in the flat. You know, it's when they, you know, my mom used to call me by my full first name when she got mad. So every now and then, oh, excuse me, hiccups. Every now and then I hear Kimberly, and it's like because she's mad because of whatever I did or I didn't do. And
Right.
it's usually pretty calming when I get woke up by it like that, except when I get like people I'm reading. So, you know, Margaret, it might have been somebody that just kind of wanted to touch base with you, check in.
Yeah.
Say, hey, we're here. We're watching
They were
over you.
definitely trying to get your attention.
Yep, yep, yep. So, what do we do when the crazy stuff comes through that we don't want to deal with? One of the things, too, I'll say, some people collect haunted objects. I've
Yeah, not me. Not me.
I've actually seen them on like people that I kind of know, and it's like, why would you ever want to get a possessed item?
Yeah,
What are your
no.
thoughts on that?
No, thank you. I don't want, I have enough time with my own energy. I don't need everybody else's energy interfering.
It's just really, to me, it's like, why, the same thing, like, why would you want this? I
Right.
wouldn't even want to bring it into my area. Even seeing it
No.
out of where I live, I don't like Bob the Doll, right? Robert the Doll down in Florida, right? My
Yep.
daughter went and saw him, and then I've seen him when I was down there, and I didn't like it at all, and I left. So Cindy Plume, who I don't know if you remember her, she was doing Keeping It Real with Cindy, I think it was, on BTR. And she's a good friend of mine. She lives down there in the Keys. And I'll be darned if she used to work there at the museum where Robert was at. So she sent me a doll. Because they make dolls for people. And I'm like, oh. And Taylor was here when it came, and she says, don't open that thing in the house. I don't want to see
Yeah.
it, Mom. Don't open it in the house. I go, well, it's just don't open it in the house. So I got hold of Cindy and I let her know. And I sent it to Sean and Bex. And I said, here, you keep it. Don't let the girls play with it. You keep it. So they have
Right.
it. They've been using him on investigations, or they'll put a lockdown camera, and watch an area with him in it. Yeah, I don't want any of that stuff. I am
No.
not a fan.
I just found it, and now I'm trying to figure out where did I just save it? Save image as right there. All right. Don't you love it when you do that? You say
Mhm.
something somewhere and then you go
Mhm.
looking for it and like,
Yep.
where did it go?
So then I wound up going back to it and redoing it, and it shows me a number 1. Like, so there's another one somewhere. All right. So, oh man.
Here it
Really?
goes. Okay, I'm sending it to your Ghost Dimensions email.
Okay.
I
Okay.
sent. It's sent.
Right. Now
I
you
mean,
talk,
I think
and
it's pretty obvious what it is behind the crystal ball. Yeah.
okay, I'm looking. Hang on. There it is. Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a good one. Hang on, guys. Now I'll download it, and now I'll upload it so everybody can see. So, do you think this is good, or do you think this is bad?
Oh, I think it's good. I mean, being that, I usually go by Waya, the wolf.
Right, right. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Okay. Well, we're
It was
crazy.
like a confirmation, and that was coming out of the fire, and
Uh-huh.
it didn't feel negative in any way, shape, form. It felt very confirming, like
Okay.
more so of like you're not alone. We're with you.
Where did it go?
Yeah, you have the same problem I did. Like, what did I
Yeah.
just save it?
Okay, here it is. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, so hang on. I got another way to bring it on. Hang on, guys. We'll get it. I swear to God, we'll get it. We'll get it. Okay.
Come on, Ruthie Poo. Don't you want a haunted doll?
No. Yeah,
Come
Ruth.
on.
I'll tell
I
you
think
what,
everybody should send
Ruthie.
Baylor some Kachina dolls.
Shut up. Okay, you just show them that. Now you gave it up. Now I gotta tell them. Crap. Okay, here's yours. So everybody take a look at it. What do you think it is, guys? Are you seeing the comments? So tell me if they see it.
I see the comments.
You know, Mr. Loy Stanford, I would say yes, fire can be bad, but it's how you use it. And
Right.
because of our practices, the way we use it is only for good. And that's what we bring through. But I understand. It's kind of like the tech, right? If you use it with bad intent, that's what happens. But fire
Right.
is very strong. And it's kind of what would the word be to use? It's kind of like it's an elemental, and if you learn to handle it, it's really good. So I don't put bad juju in the stuff I do, and neither does Holly. So I have to say that yes, it can be, just like anything can be bad, but I
Right.
don't feel that it's bad. Let's see here. Hang on. Let's see. With my mom, we visited a cemetery, and walking in there, did anybody get what they saw, by the way, Holly? I don't know.
Yeah, they did. They were saying it's the wolf.
Okay, cool. That is a really cool picture too.
It
Okay,
was-
so with my mom, we visited a cemetery, and walking in there, I could get a piercing head pain when I was near a grave. I had to walk away, and my mom said this was an ancestor's grave, and I came closer, and my head hurt later to research. He died with a blow from his head. Yeah, that's. I've had stuff affect me that way, and sometimes spirit will come through to tell you how they passed, and it's like, whoa, you'll know, and then it's like, step back, because you don't want to take on what it is that they
No,
did.
you don't. You want to protect yourself from that. It's good to sense it and be able to see it, but you don't want to take on that energy into your physical self to create those problems within yourself.
Right.
You have to be very careful in the spirit world. And what I always say to people, be careful opening that door,
Right.
because once you open it, it's open.
Yeah.
You're
And
not
that's
closing the door
right.
again. It is not
Right.
ever going to close.
Well, and going back to the fire, and that was really a beautiful picture you snapped too. I really like that. The fire, if you go back and Danford, I'm just gonna kind of put this in here. you go back to Christ's days, right? They used fire, and fire was actually represented as the Holy Spirit. And so I believe in Creator God and Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit, and that's how I work. So when I use fire, it's in that sense of, yes, this is by the Holy Spirit, it's protected by the Holy Spirit, and that's how I do it. Now,
Well, it's all about balance. Fire is simply one of the elements. And if you use it in a positive way, like you said, it's going to come out with a positive result. And you can use anything you want, water, air, fire, earth, in a very negative way. And well, your results are going to be very negative. So it's completely up to the user.
it's the intent, right? We use
Right,
candle flames. Fire is how we light candles for memorials or
right.
in memory of, or to help us clear an area, or you know, it's just used to clear out things. It's an elemental, and I've always
Got my
used
Palo
it.
Santo right here. I'm going to smudge all of y'all.
My candles are right here.
Y'all need some smudging.
Okay, so
Oh, but Ruthie, she wants some dreams tonight. She wants a haunted doll.
maybe
She
I'll
wants
send
a.
her the Kachinas.
Have fun with that one. That
Okay,
means you'd
so
have to communicate with them again.
no, but
Oh,
I will. They were, yeah. Okay, so I'll
tell
tell
your
them.
story.
Okay, I really don't. Okay, so everybody knows the past few years I've gone through lots of surgeries, and this year I had COVID, like Holly had COVID, and I broke my femur really bad, and so I haven't been feeling really all that great, you know. And hi, Daniel. And so it's just kind of one of those things. Well, Friday night I went to bed at 11. I was really tired, and I actually fell asleep pretty easily that night because I had done a lot of things. And at 2:10 a.m., and I know because I looked at my phone that was sitting next to the nightstand, I sat up in bed and I heard voices in the house. And it sounded like two gals talking in the hallway, which is outside of my bedroom. And it sounded like my daughter and her friend. And I was like, called my daughter's name out, and I said, "What'd you guys do? Come up here to surprise me?" Because they had been off, and they had the weekend off, and I thought maybe they just took a late start, and she can get into the house, no problem. And I said, "Hey, what are you doing out in the hall?" And in the meantime, I was sitting up in bed. So then I see two human figures shadowing my doorway to come into my room, and the bathroom is right next to my room. And since I fell, I always keep the light on in there at night just so I'm aware, right? So that light lights up the front end of my bedroom. And I was like talking to my daughter, and I was kind of laughing, and I said, "What are you two doing? I can't believe you came up here. Why are you here?" And they stepped into my room. They were quiet, they didn't answer. And I said, "Really, wow, those are really creepy masks." And I looked again, and my cat, Mulan, backed up all the way to the headboard next to me and started hissing. I didn't turn any lights on at that point because I could see everything in the room anyway. And then the birds all started going bonkers. 2:10 in the morning. So I said, "Really, this isn't really funny. I know you try to spook me, but yeah, no, you need to take the masks off." And they stood there, and one came and walked closer to my desk where I'm sitting right now on this side of the foot of the bed. So one was on one and one was on the other. And I'm looking and I'm thinking, and I wasn't very nice. So I was like, "Who the F are you?" Because they were solid, right? And I was like, "Who are you? And how the H did you get into my effing house?" I was livid. And when I said that and yelled at them and said, "Take your mask," no, correct, "take your effing masks off now," one of them that was on the right side foot of my bed cocked its head, like, like, "Ooh, what are you saying?" And I was like, "I don't know who you are, but you need to leave." And they were solid, just solid. bird was still screaming. The cat was still hissing. I said, that's it. I'm going to take your picture. So I grabbed my phone and I put it up to them. And this is like a small part. I mean, it went on for like 15, 20 minutes. And I put my phone on. And when I brought it up to take a picture of them, they went from bottom to top and disappeared. And I sat there for a minute and I was like, what the H, right? So I sat there for a couple minutes because I didn't know where they went. So I got up. I turned my bedroom light on, which I can't do from the bed. I had to go to the wall. Slowly looked around the corner to the hallway. Turned the hallway light on. That door was bolted with the deadbolt, locked. Looked to my bathroom, which was the other direction there. Cleared that room and the laundry room, lights all on. Started to walk into the kitchen, flipped all the lights on, and I'm sitting there thinking, do I need my gun out? Because I had a rifle in the house. It wasn't loaded, but I thought at least I could go swinging, right? No, you'll be all right. So I walk into the kitchen, and then I go to the front room, and I'm kind of looking because the kitchen light goes in there, and I went and turned that light on. Check that door. It was dead bolted. So I didn't know what the heck was going on. And I came back to the hallway again. And the last door I had to open was across from my bedroom, and it was my daughter's old room. And I thought, okay, this has got to be where they're at because there's this huge window in. Maybe they broke in. And you also got to remember where I live. There's only one other person up here all year, and they aren't around. So I'm like, okay. So I just said, just do it. And I pushed the door on. I snapped the light on. Nothing. So I walked around inside the house again. I thought that was just nuts. I wasn't sleeping. It was just nuts. And it finished at 2:38. So I walked back through the house one more time, flipped all the outside lights on so I could like see outside. I thought, what the heck is this? So I walked back into my room and I hear them talking again, but it's on the outside. Okay. And I'm thinking, that's it. I've had it. So I called the cops. I called 911 at 2:34 or 2:38 or whatever the heck it was. I called the cops and I said, you know what? Of course, I didn't tell them what I saw, but I said, somebody was messing with my door handles and I really want you guys to come out and check. And they go, well, it's probably a good idea because, you know, it's not tourist season yet or not time for people to come to their summer homes yet. So we'll send you out a car. I said, okay, just tell them they don't need to come to the door because I ain't going to open it. I'm just not going to open it. And they're like, okay, just shut the lights off. Well, no, I shut all the lights off in the house except my room. And I slept with my room light on all night. And I really didn't.
Well, you laid there with the lights on with your eyes closed, but you weren't asleep.
No, every time I'd start dozing off, I'd sit up again. So I
describe these beings again. What did they look like?
They looked like they were in suits, like what do you call it? You know, hazmat suits, right? And their hands were like this. So I could see a thumb, but they didn't really have fingers. And the mask they had on was kind of a triangle, but with squared off corners with two eye slits that had like, that's why I thought my daughter was playing a joke on me. It had two eye slits, but it was like squared and white, and it had the mouth as well, which was squared in white. So otherwise it was just dark. So the next day I got hold of Holly because we had been talking about this stuff last week on the show. And I said, you know, this is what happened. And yeah, I think that's probably I have never been freaked out like that. I can honestly tell you, because I called the cops. I'm not a person that gets scared easily. So after I talked to Holly, I sent a note because I was dreading nighttime. So I called Windwalker, who you all might know from our radio days. She's an amazing healer. She's a 4th generation medicine woman, and I've known her for a long time, and I adore her. So I actually texted her, but it was like 11 o'clock at night because I couldn't go to bed. I was kind of scared to go to bed. So she called. She goes, oh, just call. We were on the phone until 2:30 in the morning. And she said, I described what it was, and she sent me pictures, and she said it is a kachina, and it's called a shadowed kachina. She was very aware of what they were. And the reason people see them, they protect women and they're healers for women. Okay. Well, I didn't ask for them, but like Holly told me and Windwalker said, yeah, but you wanted healing to happen. So you asked for that.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, but I didn't ask for the creepy
You
guy.
did. You weren't specific about where that healing was supposed to come from.
Well, yeah, careful what you wish for.
You just opened up the door and said, "Bring in the healing." So there you go. You knew better.
And
You knew better.
she laughed and she goes, yeah, I probably would have been cussing at him too. I said, oh, I was yelling at him. I mean, I was sitting up and standing, screaming at them. I said, it wasn't a dream. She goes, no, but that's why they come. And they're not evil. She says, the thing that kind of blows my mind, though, is the fact that normally they're seen in the South, usually by the Ute tribes, by the Apache tribes, by the Hopi. And, you know, to go where I was, she says, that's pretty awesome. I'm like, okay, you can have awesome and you can have them show up at your house. She said, no, thank you. So yeah, we can do that. Maybe Ruthie, would you? What? Yeah, yeah. I think maybe Ruthie needs.
She
to.
totally. She's been asking for all kinds of healing and spiritual help. So you know.
Oh yeah, and Daniel says, yeah, sage all the way. Oh yeah, I saged the house, and actually, I was thinking it when Holly said it. Go outside and salt the freaking house, and that's what Windwalker told me too. Once you sage, go out and I actually did the property line, and I actually used rock salt because I was like, this stuff ain't gonna go away in a rain.
Yeah, yeah.
It was. I was freaked out. It wasn't the fact, I wasn't really scared of
They
them.
didn't do anything to you. They weren't projecting negativity. They were just mysterious and weird.
Yeah, and it was just something that I didn't actually like. I didn't ask for them specifically to come in, and I was angry. I was very angry, and get out of my house, like go away. And they just again cocked their head, and then they disappeared. So yeah, and Danford, I have angels. I do work with angels. So does Holly. And it's a very different energy when they come through.
Very different. More serious. It's not little gitchy goo goo little freaking angels. They mean business.
Business and the frequency when you hear them is like a pitch that is not human to hear.
Yeah.
I call it the divine energy.
Yeah.
And it actually buzzes my ears and it hurts my ears. And it's like it pops like when your ears pop. That's what happens. But yeah, I do definitely. I'd run a mile. Sharon Ellis said I'd run a mile. I'm telling you what, man, girl, I was like double locking doors and like, what the heck was this? And well, yeah, I tried to sleep, but it didn't work out very well. But yeah, I did get laughed at.
And well, another thing is, I'm sure they were meant for you since you asked for it, but sometimes spirits can land in the wrong place.
That's a long place from where she lives in New Mexico, and I am. That's like
right. But sometimes they can land. But say, I know you don't have anybody else, and we know these people were meant for you. But for other cases, say that someone very next door to you is very, very ill, very sick, and their spirits coming in, they may end up landing in the wrong house, especially if they feel sensitive energy. They may land in your house when they're meant to land next door. So you never know what's going to show up.
Well, and that's one of the things I love about Daniel and Joseph Cesario. They are such a beacon for people that have lost children and grieve a partner, because they come back in so many different positive ways. And I've told Robin this over and over. It's because they love you and they're allowing other people to see, yeah, we're not gone. We're still here. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. So yeah, you can have something like I had, and I know you've had stuff too, like, you know, whatever. But
I've
yeah,
had loads. Loads.
yeah, I don't want any more kachinas.
You don't get used to it. You don't. I mean, you get well. How do I say this? It's not surprising anymore, and you're like, oh, there that is.
I don't know. It's just crazy. So again, we had a great time today, and maybe we'll pick this up again soon. And like I said, you guys, thank you very much, and may the spirit wrap around you
Thank
and
you. Have a good one.
grace from the Creator. And you guys have a great day.
Have a good
Holly,
one.
okay. Bye, guys.